1. I compiled a list I wish I could post all over this store, because apparently the general public don't know how to behave anymore. 1. Use your manners. Say excuse me if you need to get a staff member's attention. Say please if you're asking a question. Say thank you when they've helped you out. Just use your manners. They cost absolutely nothing, and I'm sure you expect it when people talk to you. 2. Don't touch staff. You don't need to put a hand on our arm while you laugh at a desperately unfunny joke. You don't need to hold onto us as you shove past. And you don't need to grab us to get our attention. I'm fairly certain you wouldn't like it if a complete stranger grabbed you from behind. So why would you do it to a staff member? It's not friendly. It's creepy. Respect our personal space. 3. That super witty and completely, totally original joke you just thought up on the spot, keep it to yourself. We have heard that joke 15 times already today, and it is exhausting to constantly fake laugh to flatter someone's ego. It's also soul-destroying to have the same quips parroted at us over and over and over again. 4. Give us space. This should be a general rule anyway, but apparently no one loves my personal space more than customers. There needs to be a study done into how COVID made people so desperate to violate someone's personal space now we're no longer social distancing. You don't need to stand toe-to-toe to ask me a question. If I'm working on a section you want to look at, all you need to say is, "Excuse me, can I please look at that section?" If you spot something you like, you don't need to reach across me and shove your armpit in my face. 5. No means no. If we say we can't do something for you or we don't have something in stock, it means we can't do something for you and we don't have something in stock. Our job is to sell things to you, so if we're saying we don't have said things, we're not lying to you for the fun of it. And it's not because we can't be bothered, we don't have it. 6. Carrying on from 5. If you're told that a store can't process a refund or an exchange for whatever reason, or they can't sell something to you for whatever reason, or perform some service for whatever reason, do not scream at them. It is nothing personal, as I said before, our job is to sell, and if we don't, we get fired. Screaming at us does nothing other than paint you as a giant entitled baby and an asshole. And if you end up getting your way after causing a scene and screaming at staff, it is only because they want you to shut up and leave. You haven't won. 7. We don't need your entire life story. I don't need to know that you bought a pen for your daughter's sister's cousin's uncle's dad's yoga instructor's mom's gardener's friend, and she doesn't like blue, so you need a refund. Just telling me you need a refund is enough. 8. We're not your therapists. It is really out of pocket to tell a shop worker your deepest, darkest secrets and trauma dump on them when they can't run away. We all have issues of our own. It's not up to us to shoulder your burdens too. 9. We are not your friends. I understand that some people are lonely and the cashier might be their only contact of the day. But it isn't a cashier's job to socialize you and hear your entire life story. Most of us are understaffed and have a million jobs to do, and we can't get done while you spend 20 minutes telling us some inane story that we never asked for. I know this one is controversial because some retail staff do love a good natter, but myself and my team are not part of that group. We're introverts who start sweating the minute Denise starts telling us about her loud neighbors and their bad parking. 10. Just be nice. It really doesn't cost much to use your manners and compassion when someone is trying to help you the best they can. We're all human, and the world would be a much brighter place if everyone just treated each other with kindness and respect. We're all going through things. You might be having a hard time due to a divorce, but that cashier you're screaming at has just lost a loved one. Everyone has stuff. Let's just be kind. I honestly could go on, but let me know if you'd add anything else to this list. 2. Retail is a marathon. I haven't worked a retail job since 1997, thank God. But even now do I have PTSD moments when it comes to people and dumbass managers. From about 1986, my first job at KFC, which was a shithole in and of itself, until 1997 I worked retail jobs. I started in San Antonio, where I grew up, then moved to Houston in '92. Retail was always easy to get into for obvious reasons. Turnover was a bitch. The job sucked. But sometimes you'd find a gem of a place to work if your coworkers were cool and not trying to throw you under a bus. That kind of a support system can go a long way even later in life. I know I still think of people I used to work with back in the day and hope they're doing well. I, unfortunately, only talk to a few of them now. I always did everything I could to work well with others, both my coworkers, management, and customers too, and in some jobs it was great. Others not so much, though the constant is customers being dickheads over the stupidest things imaginable. That will mess your brain up something fierce. For me, my last retail job, thank God because that place took the cake, was Hollywood Video, where I worked as a manager. This happened in 1997. My last go in the wonderful world of hard work and little pay for people that don't frigging care. At Hollywood Video, you had to wear the stupid uniform like a movie theater usher. Like a tux, but without the jacket. The shirt, the bow tie, the cummerbund, slacks, nice shoes, the works. Ugh. The senior store manager got to be business casual. Perk of the job, I guess. There were two of us store managers. The other was a petite blonde girl, I'm 6'4" male, and she was super nice, as was her boyfriend. She had been promoted from regular associate at the same time I was hired on as a manager. I always hated the distinction between manager and store manager, because customers would look at our name tags and say, "Oh, you're a manager. You can get shit done." Generally, yes, but not big decisions without the senior manager's approval. The district manager was a 20-something douchebag and a half. He had that slimy car salesman friendliness that was 101% disingenuous and manipulative. I pretty much had my hackles raised by this guy from day one, realizing I'd have to watch what I say around him. Though he never did. He has an awful way of expressing his sense of humor. Now me. I laugh at everything, and think humor is a good way to deal with the world. He did too, but his jokes were bad. Such as telling a young 18 or so year old African-American employee that his people had been in a pickle jar. We had a huge glass jar of pickles on the counters, but they were individually wrapped. Because, black people would be eating pickles, I guess? The kid would just take it like water off a duck's back. The first time the DM did that in front of me, I guess he really thought he was one of the crew and had left me more than a little surprised. While this DM visited our store often, it made sense as our store was the top of the district of at least 5 stores if I remember right. This locale happened to be at a Veterans Memorial and 1960 in Houston. We always had huge sales in numbers given our location. 1960 is a very well-traveled route with tons of traffic, and so too is Veterans. It's the crossroads of insanity. I always hated driving around here because traffic blew chunks. One night, that young African-American employee I told you about went to take the trash to the side dumpster, and what did he spy? The store manager, a female and married one to boot, basically in the lap of the DM in his car off to the side of the store, attached at the face. When he told me what happened, I wasn't there that night. I knew the kid was being honest. He never talked things up or lied to me before, so I trusted him. It was a, oh shit moment for sure, but what could I do about it? Though that was my F this moment. I knew this was not going to be good for the store, especially not for the kid that saw them. I mean, right by the store? How stupid are you? Stupid for doing that in the first place, but you're basically crapping where you sleep doing that. Turns out this was all true. They were having an affair. Her husband was a super nice guy, and they had a little kid too. That DM was an asshole of epic proportions. The store manager was like a mini-me of him, though she was affable enough. Though after I heard about the makeout incident, I didn't look at her at all with any kind of respect any longer. Things came to a head when the DM said he was going to a company meeting in North Carolina, if I recall correctly. The store manager was going with him. Go figure, right? Well, this particular meeting was taking place right during our store inventory, which was a yearly thing the store did. It was an all-hands-on-deck kind of moment, and since our store was the busiest, it was constantly getting trashed by customers. I could have had 2 full-time associates with nothing to do but clean up and reorganize, and their weeks would be packed. I did, of course, not have that luxury. What I had was surly teenagers that didn't give a crap about their jobs, which I totally understand. Retail. So I tried to be as nice as I could be, let them take breaks, go to the bathroom, and not have to do any jobs I wouldn't do myself, like clean the public bathroom, which, since it's public, would get frigging gnarly as hell. The people that worked for us were okay, except for this husband and wife that both worked for us. I didn't do hiring, only the senior store manager did that. She was shady as hell and was constantly acting like she was everyone's friend. But if she got any kind of dirt or complaint from anyone, she'd run right to the senior store manager and unload everything. Needless to say, she quickly became persona non grata around there. Her husband was an ex-military type that acted like he had it together, but absolutely did not. I've never been in the military, but came from a long line of family that did, and he often said things that didn't sit quite right. Thank God they both quit the same night, though they did it on a Saturday evening, our busiest time. I was, of course, in charge that night. Anyway, I digress. The other store manager and I were barely 2 weeks into our time as managers when this little trip came up. Yes, all of this happened in a very brief time. When we were left to cover the store for a week and a half. I mean, it's not brain surgery, but when some of your staff call off, and you already didn't have enough hands in place to handle everything, it became a nightmare fast. And that all with the looming inventory count night, which promised to last until early in the morning. We just could not keep up with the volume of people, whom all decided to make that the busiest week ever at the busiest store in the district. Fun times. They were lucky the place didn't burn down. It was straight. We got the inventory done, though it was about 3 a.m. when we finished, and they got back, and the DM and senior store manager decided to write both of us up. Why? I wish I could remember the particulars, but they acted as if the place was a disaster. It was not. The senior manager sat in there and would not look either of us in the eye. She kept looking at her hands, as if we were being set up. I signed the paperwork, but even though I knew that place was bull within the first few days of me starting there, I knew I would be out the door soon. I only took that job to go to school to learn to be an EMT. That was my passion at the time, and I needed flexibility for school shifts and such, which a 9-to-5 would not allow. I quit a few weeks later without notice. My first EMT major exam was coming up, and suddenly I had to work that day during the exam. By this point, we'd gotten a new senior store manager who was somehow worse as a personality than the first one. It was like she had something to prove and decided it was going to be her way or the highway. I chose the highway. I told them before I took the job why I was taking it, that I was going to school to be an EMT and I needed flexibility to take the courses, the fieldwork, and the exams. All of this I was promised and not delivered upon. Funny thing was, there was a manager I had a rapport with, but he worked at the main branch further into town. I want to say it was off of West Alabama and was an old theater, but I cannot remember. Now it's been too long. He and I got along very well, and he knew of the drama and nonsense at our store. He offered to bring me on at his store to work there, which apparently wasn't nearly as bad as ours, but I declined politely. I was on my way out the door. I knew, and add to that a commute and a half. My store was only about 10 minutes from my house, but that one would have been an hour-plus drive each way. Nope, not for retail. But it did mean something that someone senior respected my work enough to offer to transfer me. That just reinforced what I knew. It was this damn store and not me. My levels of F this were gradual, like a stair-step, almost from day one. and I wish I could remember the name of that petite blonde lady and her boyfriend. She was super nice and funny, and the only thing I liked about working there was working with her. The night I quit on the spot because of the new senior manager's assholery, she was actually crying, bawling even, behind the counter as she was helping people. I talked to her briefly. That broke my heart. This was the days just before everyone had a cell phone. Otherwise, I would have stayed in touch. I hope they both had good lives and moved on past the nightmare that Hollywood Video was. It's sad. This was nearly 30 years ago, well, 26, and I still get ticked off whenever the memories come back. So I thought I'd share. Lucky y'all. Man, fuck retail. In its satanic little butthole. 3. I used to work retail at a year-round costume store, and we would get some pretty interesting customers. I was closing on a random Friday night. About an hour before we were going to close, a regular customer walks in with a guy. I happen to know from past experience that this customer was a lady of the night. The guy came in with his huge black duffel bag. The store was a mom-and-pop shop, and had a strict policy about not carrying large bags or purses around the store to help curb shoplifting. I asked the guy to either take it back out to his car or leave it up front with me. He was kind of squirrely, but after some back and forth, he finally agreed to leave the bag up front, but told me that he had a lockbox inside of it with some loose diamonds. He didn't want to leave it unattended. He pulled out the lockbox to show me, and since it was small and would be cumbersome to get into, I told him it was fine to carry it around the store with him. I then found out from the woman that they were going to be driving out of town to get married. That they were stopping by the store so that he could buy her a wedding dress. We didn't sell wedding dresses, but I told her we had some really cool corseted dresses if she wanted to take a look at those. She went to do that, while the guy wandered around with his lockbox. He was constantly going on to me and all the other employees about how rich he was. He also told us that in addition to being a diamond dealer, he was an astrologist that worked for NASA. After trying on a few dresses, she finally found one she liked and brought it up to check out. The dress rang up at about $180. When the dude saw the price, he completely lost it and an argument ensued. After about 10 minutes of arguing with him, by the end, about 10 minutes before closing time, she decided to go back and get a different dress, but she reminded him that they also needed a ring and that he should pick something from her costume jewelry while she found a new dress. I showed him some rings and he picked one, but when I told him it was $12, he asked me to show him something cheaper. He finally settled on the $2 ring. I told everyone to go ahead and start on closing duties while they finished up shopping. About 20 minutes after close, she came up with a $40 vintage-style dress. A little more arguing, he finally agreed to pay for the dress. However, she also wanted a pair of shoes, and flatly refused to leave without them. She was wearing a ratty pair of canvas tennis shoes. He kept insisting that they would look great with the dress, and she didn't need shoes. They continued to argue, and by that point, we were coming up on almost half an hour after closing. My coworkers and I were supposed to be clocking out, and I still needed to close the drawer. Sick of listening to them argue and wanting to make staying open later as worthwhile as possible, I told the guy that since he had a full case of diamonds, surely he could afford to pay for the shoes. The guy got angry, grabbed his bag, and stormed out. She ran out after him and dragged him back to pay for the dress and ring. She then bought the shoes herself. I wished her the best of luck, and she was on her way. After they were gone, I locked up and finished closing. About 15 minutes later, when I was leaving, I noticed they were still in the parking lot arguing. I'm fairly sure that wedding didn't happen. 4. I work at a clothing store. This specific shift had been 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. to first do signage as we were getting out a lot of new fall items, and summer items were getting put on sale left and right. I worked at the register for the last hour of my shift. We always make a point of putting a sign holder on every tea stand side. If something isn't on sale, it'll have a little reminder about our credit cards. We've never had an issue with this as long as I've been working there, just shy of a year. The story starts because of a new dress we'd just gotten out that morning. It was on the side facing the customer as they walked into the store. On the other side of the tea stand was a slightly older dress that had been sent to us in mid-August that was put on sale for $25. This specific dress was $54.99. On the sign holder, it had a reminder for the credit card. I put these dresses there and did the signage for the entire women's section. So I was pretty dang sure of what items were on sale and which weren't. A woman comes to my register with her middle-aged daughter. They have this dress in their hands. I do the whole shtick about why they should get a credit card, yada yada. They say no, no biggie. They had 4 or 5 items that were all on sale except for this new dress. It's the last thing I scan so they don't notice the full price till the end. That's supposed to be $25, it says on the sign. Oh no, sorry. This dress just came in this morning, it's not on sale. There's a sign that says $25, says the daughter. Our registers and the floor are separated by a half shelf with candy and chips and stuff. So I look over to where the dresses are, and of course there's no sign, except the credit card one. Ma'am, that would be the sign for the other dresses on the other side. They're on sale for $25. No, it's for the whole rack. There's no divider between the 2 dresses. I'm already tired with it. Here, let me show you. I walk around the register and ask the daughter to follow me. Her mom very snootily says, "Go see that I'm right, fatty." I'm mid-size. If anyone knows what a tea stand is and how they look, you'd know most of the time the stand is used as the divider. There are 2 other dresses next to them, and I show the daughter how each side has a sale sign because they're both on different sales and it's reflected on the signage. She just huffs and puffs and goes back to her mom. So I ask if they want to purchase it or wish to leave it. Mom says, "I'll take it. But just know I'm going to complain." Anyway, someone else came up after them with a blouse that was hanging next to some other shirts that were on sale and was very understanding of the fact that the blouse she got wasn't the item on 40% off. So I still gave it to her. 5. This happened back in 2012 at a now dead big box chain that anchored malls. The company was in decline, but it was still the largest retailer in large home appliances. Our store was in a more affluent area, and out of all the stores I worked in, this one had the most entitled customers. I was a commissioned salesperson, but I was senior enough that I had an approval card and would handle general customer service issues. A customer and his wife had bought a store-brand side-by-side refrigerator for $1,800. It arrives, and unfortunately, it's a lemon. The compressor won't engage at all. Normally, in these cases, the delivery team would automatically set up a next-day delivery for a working one. Nope. The customers refuse. Store brand has insulted their very existence. They will never buy store brand again. They come to the store and tell me their tragic tale. Their lives have been turned absolutely upside down by this horrible tragedy. They have picked out a new fridge, a name brand, which retailed for $2,000. They had a friend recommend it to them, and all the reviews and industry ratings looked great. But there's a catch. It's the exact same fridge. Name brand makes the store brand side by sides, and this happened to be the exact twin model. I try to avoid taking a $200 hit. Sure, we could do that exchange, but I want to make sure that you're aware that the name brand actually makes our store brand side by sides. They have the exact same compressor. You'd save $200 if you kept the store brand, and you'd still end up with the same fridge. I know that. I don't care. I'm never having another store brand in my home again. And we're not paying that $200. It's not our fault that you sent us a faulty product.
Now we have to wait, and it's frankly insulting that you'd even imply that I should pay the difference.
I know the name brand often goes on sale for $1,800, so I am safe to give it for the same price. As I'm double-checking that I have the margin to make the discount, I notice something. It's back-ordered. It will be over 2 weeks before the name brand can deliver. While normally you would need to pay the price difference, I understand how upsetting this is. For your inconvenience, I can offer an even exchange. I did notice that name brand is currently out of stock in this model, so it will be another week before we can deliver. Does that work for you? You would think I kicked their freaking dog. The wife gasps and covers her mouth. The husband turns an interesting shade of red.
That is outrageous. That will absolutely not work. You expect us to live without a fridge for a week?
I will point out now they still had their old fridge, which was in working condition. Sorry, but I really don't have a way to get one faster. The manufacturer doesn't have any at all until the next batch are ready.
But Lionel, we need it now,
says the wife.
Do you see that? My wife is about to cry. We need to find another solution.
Well, we do have more fridges available across multiple brands. I'd be happy to show you other options in the same range. This is where I think they were trying to rip us off. They immediately go for the other brand's top-of-the-line French door refrigerator. It's not even in the same category. The thing is on sale for $3,500.
I think this one got good reviews.
It, in fact, had some of the best reviews.
Is it available?
It looks like it is. We're still early enough I could have it delivered tomorrow. The difference comes to $1,700. Did you want to put that on your store card? The wife's jaw drops to the floor.
What do you mean, the difference?
You said you'd do an even exchange.
Well, yes, on the name brand, side by side. This is a completely different brand, and it's not even the same type of fridge. I can't do an even exchange. But we will waive the 15% restocking fee and refund the delivery fee for the trouble.
I want a manager now.
I call the department manager, who is equally confused at the demand. He offers to take off the same $200 we would have for the name brand. Of course, that's rejected with prejudice. He takes it up to 15%. That's $525. But no, they demand an even exchange. He's now at the point he has to flat-out refuse. That's not something I can do. You can get the store brand tomorrow, you can wait a week for the name brand, or you can get the other brand tomorrow after paying the $1,175 difference. What works best for you?
You,
She's got tears in her eyes.
This is a bait and switch! Bait and switch!
She literally screamed this next bit to the point it echoed in the mall entrance.
Bait and switch!
As she did this, the manager was calmly doing something on his tablet. I will never forget this. Once she's done screaming, he hands her the tablet with a dictionary definition of bait and switch. Ma'am, you seem confused. A bait and switch would be us advertising one product that isn't actually available for us to sell, and then trying to get you to buy something else. I can get you that store brand anytime you want. The wife is visibly confused for a second, and then she shoves the tablet back into the manager's hands. She takes her phone out of her purse, hands shaking.
You know what? I'm calling my lawyer. I'm going to tell my lawyer about your bait and switch.
And that was it. Manager and I look at each other. I swear he was holding back a smile. I'm sorry, but since you have decided to pursue legal channels, we can no longer assist you at the store level. I can't get you the number of our corporate legal team. You'll need to direct any further questions to them directly.
No, you're going to talk to my lawyer right now and...
I can't continue this conversation. I'll notify the delivery team to cancel your order. You'll get a refund to your original card. It might take 3 to 4 business days for your provider to show the refund. The husband now looks mildly concerned.
Now, hold on. My wife jumped the gun a little.
No, I'm calling our lawyer. We are not going to be taken advantage of.
I'm sorry, but we can't keep interacting with you.
But...
At this point, my manager and I walked away. The lady sat over in mattresses, apparently waiting for her lawyer to answer for a few minutes. Her lawyer must not have cared too much for her business, because he apparently never answered. Her husband awkwardly paced small appliances before he walked back to her. He wildly gesticulated while whispering to her until they left. Transaction was refunded, and I never saw them again. Remember this, fellow retail travelers. A customer threatening legal action is always the fastest excuse to get out of any annoying situation. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, episode 179. I think. I messed the numbers up last week. I caught it before I published the video, but anyway, what was I doing? Oh yes, thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. And if you'd like to get the videos a little bit early, then you can support me through my Patreon page, which is linked in the description. It's also written on screen right now, to help you find it more easily. And if you'd like to get yourself some Hellfreezer merchandise, that's linked in the description too. That's my Teespring store. You can also make donations during streams or videos just like this one. And while you don't have to, it does help me put food on the table, which I then pick up and shove into my face, which then makes me very happy. Okay, let's see. I don't think there's any other business today. We're still in September. Yes, we are. So let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. Oh, goodness, my birthday is just over a week away. Anyway, and today's question is, do you celebrate your birthday? Now, I noticed it was my birthday soon. Personally, I'm not really big on celebrating much of anything, at least anything to do with me personally. Most I do for my birthday is I do a stream, because I figure, why not? I may as well spend it with the people I like. But beyond that, I think I've just kind of moved on from really caring about celebrating milestones. Maybe I've just gotten grumpy and curmudgeonly in my old age. That might change once I'm married. Probably will, to be honest with you. But let me know what you think in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.